Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced earlier this week that he was launching a parallel investigation. Rather than working with the feds, as would be the case in any other investigation of this sort, the feds would take the lead. Governor DeSantis went for the attention grab.
I've directed state agencies to move expeditiously and to provide full transparency to the public. In my judgment, it's not in the best interest of our state or our nation to have the same federal agencies that are seeking to prosecute Donald Trump leading this investigation, especially when the most serious, straightforward offense constitutes a violation of state law, but not federal law. In addition to holding the suspect accountable, the public deserves to know the truth about how this assassination came to be.
Florida Attorney General Ashleigh Moody went so far as to call a federal investigation awkward.
It is awkward, to say the least, to have a prosecutorial agency and an investigatory agency that is bringing charges and seeking to put the victim away for life being the same agency and prosecutors that are going after the would-be assassin.
It's worth noting the suspect, Ryan Ruth, is already facing federal charges of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Governor DeSantis didn't point that out. And that more charges are expected as the FBI conducts its investigation. But see, this sort of political gamesmanship is also just bad for the investigation. Is DeSantis and the Attorney General there not going to share the state's findings with the FBI? Are they going to go and interview the same witnesses more than once, potentially giving a defense attorney an opportunity to claim, oh, you see how they changed their story even slightly? This isn't the way it's supposed to work. And for those of us who only care about getting justice, for those of us who really want answers, this is a problem. Let's bring in David Weinstein. He was a Florida state prosecutor for 10 years. He also served as a federal prosecutor, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, where he worked on task force, where state and federal government work together. Thank you very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. All right, so what do you make of the comments from the Attorney General and from the governor?
Well, Dan, it's going to just complicate this investigation. A good joint investigation is just that, one where state and local work with federal agencies, and they share information, they collect it together, and they don't create exactly what you just talked about, which was potentially different statements from witnesses. This is not what it appears will be going on here.
Let me play another piece of sound. This is, again, the Florida Attorney General claiming that this is just normal course of business stuff. This is number one.
The ability and the jurisdiction to bring charges and go after maximum penalties that maybe the federal government does not. And that doesn't mean it's a turf war. It is very common for state investigators, state prosecutors to work with our federal prosecutors and federal agents on dual tracks with different purposes.
Work with was the key word there, right?
Exactly, exactly. Look, the state prosecution, if one does take place, is a fallback. If something happens in federal court, let's face facts, Nan, he's in federal custody right now, and he will remain there until that case is concluded. If the state wants to conduct a parallel investigation working with the feds, they're free to do that and have that there as a safety net if something happens in federal court. But to be conducting their own separate investigation, one where they're not sharing information, that's just going to put them at odds with each other.
So as someone with experience working state and federal together, someone who's worked as a state prosecutor in Florida and a federal prosecutor, you haven't seen something like this in a case of this sensitivity and importance, have you?
No, I haven't. I mean, there have been little turf battles where a defendant comes into state custody first and then the feds are interested in them, or if they find a defendant in state custody and the feds are interested in them, but not one where it happened like this and they're reacting real time.
Let me play another piece. This is Governor DeSantis, number 4 on the Trump prosecutions, which he somehow thinks are relevant here.
The question is, you have those prosecutions. Do we honestly think these agencies are the best to turn around and do this investigation on a potential assassin that some of them may or may not want to be held accountable for if there was something they could have done better, right, with security. I don't know what all went into the federal stuff, but man, don't you want a clean slate?
That doesn't even make any sense. I mean, the idea that, again, he's sort of suggesting that they don't even want this guy to be punished, right? That they're so corrupt that they were maybe part of this in some way, shape, or form. And that's what it sounds like he's saying to me.
That would make everyone have a big conspiracy theorist take on this whole thing. Look, they're there to protect him. That's what their job is. They ferreted out what was going on. They stopped it from happening. Yeah. And they're going to investigate it. And quite frankly, they're not the people who are in charge of prosecuting those other cases. It's not even this U.S. Attorney's Office. It's a special prosecutor.
Yeah. This is serious stuff. This matters. We want answers on this. We want swift justice. And what people forget is this sort of political gamesmanship can affect that. It can make it more problematic. It can hurt the effort at getting justice to just try and score some political points. David Weinstein, yeah, go, quick final thought.
I think you're right there. They need to let this investigation move at the speed that it needs to move and not interfere with each other and work together.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.